Hello and thanks for joining us for our late night newscast coming to you from Arirang's news centre in Seoul. I'm Mark Broome. Our top story tonight: China has joined Korea in urging Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to use wording such as aggression, colonial rule, remorse and apology in his upcoming statement marking the 70th anniversary of Japan's surrender in World War II. China's Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Hua Chunying says Japan needs to send a clear and correct message about the nature of the war and the country's responsibility for the war as well. The Korean government is also pressing Abe to make a full and sincere apology for Japan's past atrocities. Abe is set to release the statement on Friday, one day before the 70th anniversary. On a related note, Tokyo-based Kyodo news agency is reporting that Abe will not visit the Yasukuni Shrine, which honours Japan's war dead, as well as several Class A war criminals, on the 15th. He is expected, however, to send a ritual offering to the shrine. A nuclear reactor at one of Korea's nuclear plant facilities was halted early Saturday due to problems with its coolant pump, but authorities say the reactor is currently stable and there were no radioactive material leaks. The state-run Korea Hydro and Nuclear Power says the Hanbit reactor number 2 at its southwestern Yonggwang plant automatically stopped just before 3 a.m. Saturday Korea time. One of the reactor's 4 coolant pumps, which deliver heat inside the reactor to a steam generator, shut down when a circuit breaker got damaged from overheating. A fire also broke out because of the overheating, but was put out immediately. While authorities plan to restart the reactor after fixing the circuit breaker, they say power will continue being supplied as normal. Lee Hee-ho, the widow of former South Korean President Kim Daejung, is back in Seoul after wrapping up her humanitarian trip to North Korea. There had been some speculation she might meet with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un during her stay, but that never materialized. Chae-sun reports.
Despite having been invited by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, the former First Lady didn't meet him during her 4-day stay. Kim, however, is reported to have ordered a high-ranking official who had escorted Lee Hee-ho to ensure she was comfortable during her stay. Likely pressured by anticipation her trip might break the impasse between Seoul and Pyongyang, Lee and her delegation stressed that she had traveled to the north as a civilian.
I was not assigned any official duties during my visit to North Korea, but with the sense of duty, I finished off my trip following the spirit of the two Koreas' June 15th joint declaration.
The June 15th declaration is an inter-Korean agreement to work together to achieve unification and to resolve humanitarian issues after a summit between Lee's late husband and former South Korean President Kim Daejung and late North Korean leader Kim Jong-il in the year 2000. The 92-year-old former First Lady, who is interested in supporting mothers and children in the North, is known to have spent most of her time delivering her personally woven mufflers and medical products to a women's hospital, a children's hospital, and orphanages.
While holding hands with children at a nursery and orphanage in Pyongyang, I realized we must not pass down the two Koreas' pain of division to our future generations.
As for possible explanations to why the North Korean leader didn't meet Lee, experts in the South say it reflects Kim Jong-un's passive attitude towards thawing relations with Seoul. Experts also note that the South Korean government did not deliver any messages through Lee saying that her trip was a personal one. It's also likely Pyongyang was not overly impressed with the group that accompanied the former First Lady, as its members were not actively involved in the historic June 15th declaration. Chae-sun, Arirang News.
Now, the foreign ministers of South Korea and the Association of Southeast Asian Nations have urged North Korea to stop its nuclear and missile provocations. This was at their meeting in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia last Wednesday, on the sidelines of a series of annual regional security meetings. In a statement released on Saturday, the country said Pyongyang must refrain from provocations and meet its obligations as laid out under UN Security Council resolutions. The resolutions ban North Korea from using any form of ballistic missile technology. They also call for a prompt resumption of the so-called six-party talks involving the two Koreas, the US, China, Japan and Russia. The talks aimed at denuclearizing the Korean peninsula haven't been held since 2008. North Korea has yet to tell the UN agency in charge of telecommunications of its decision to move its clocks back 30 minutes to create a new time zone. The International Telecommunication Union says Pyongyang did not notify it of the plan prior to the announcement, adding that the decision was made independently. The ITU added that since countries are free to set their own standard times, it's not in a position to stop Pyongyang. North Korea caught everyone off guard on Friday when it announced that it would push back its standard time by half an hour on August 15th to mark the 70th anniversary of liberation from Japanese colonial rule. As it stands, right now at least, South and North Korea share the same standard time set under the colonial period. South Korea has reported its 34th straight day of no new cases of Middle East respiratory syndrome, or as it's more commonly known, MERS. The health ministry also says the death toll from the MERS outbreak has not risen in 28 days. 36 people have died in Korea from the virus since the first case was confirmed on May 20th. 10 patients are still in hospital, but all but one have tested negative for the virus. The Korean government declared a de facto end to the outbreak late last month. Now, there's a common skin disease known as atopic dermatitis that makes your skin very dry and itchy all the time and often leads to infections. But fortunately, there may be some hope on the horizon as a Korean research team has developed an effective solution for this very unpleasant problem. Won Ji-yeon reports.
Atopic dermatitis, or AD, is one of the most common chronic skin diseases out there for both children and adults. People who have it may have a history of allergic diseases, and they get dry, itchy skin that's also often red and swollen. It can be extremely unpleasant, so much so for one patient that he hasn't been able to sleep comfortably for 16 years.
Not being able to sleep is the most painful part. There's also pus that oozes out of the rash of my skin, and it sticks to my clothes after I get dressed, which is very inconvenient.
But relief is on the way. Korean researchers have found a way to treat AD using a patient's own blood through what's called autologous immunoglobulin therapy. The team, led by Dr. Nam Dong-ho of Aji University Hospital, conducted a clinical trial on patients with severe cases of AD. The team gave the patients repeated intramuscular injections of a purified solution of their own plasma. In just 8 weeks, the protein concentration in the plasma had stimulated the patient's immune systems, resulting in a clinical improvement of more than 30%.
Immunoglobulin treatments are common in the scientific world, but the key part of our research is how we purify the plasma. We prepare the immunoglobulin solution in a completely sterile environment.
The treatment has attracted attention for its efficacy, and scientists say there are almost no side effects as the method uses a patient's own blood. Won Ji-yeon, Arirang News.
Korea's very first original musical, The Last Empress, marks its 20th anniversary this year. After gaining international fame, it has come back to local theatres with a new look and storyline for its legion of fans here in Korea. Kim Ji-yeon reports.
It's not difficult to be enticed by the refined court silhouette of The Last Empress, let alone its captivating plot. The musical is based on the life of Empress Myeongsong and her death by Japanese assassins in the late 19th century. Kim So-yeon, who plays the leading role of Empress Myeongsong, says she couldn't help but cry while portraying such a historical figure.
Sometimes I couldn't carry on during the songs about our son and internal struggles. It brought tears to my eyes.
The Last Empress is regarded by local critics as something of a milestone. It's considered as the country's first blockbuster musical, mainly attributed to its international recognition and success.
The Last Empress was the first Korean musical ever to be performed at the Lincoln Center's New York State Theater in 1997. The musical was so popular, it returned to the New York staple venue in summer the following year.
It was something of a miracle. We weren't able to pay the performers at the time due to budget restraints, but they followed along with national pride in mind.
To keep up with the changing times, the latest version added songs and a subplot about a security guard in charge of protecting the Empress.
This musical success shows that original productions and their adaptations can be well made while appealing to the general public.
The Last Empress is played at Seoul Arts Center's Opera Theater through September 10th. Kim Jeon, Arirang News.
At least 4 people are dead, 4 missing and more than 100 injured after the strongest storm of the entire year, Typhoon Sordello, slammed Taiwan on Saturday with powerful winds and torrential rain. Officials also say the storm cut power to at least 2 million households. The typhoon made landfall in the early hours of Saturday morning on the island's east coast, bringing up to 1,000 millimeters of rain and winds gusting up to 200 kilometers an hour. As you can see, that caused some severe flash flooding and mudslides. The typhoon has now weakened significantly, but heavy rain and gusty winds are affecting the eastern coast of China. Now, finally, taking a brief look at the weekend weather. And today is Ipchu in Korea, traditionally regarded as the beginning of fall, but it continues to be rather hot across the entire country. It will be another very warm night, with the overnight low only dipping to 24 degrees Celsius in Seoul. Sunday will be another hot day, but temperatures will be a couple of degrees lower than today, with highs still in the low 30s, however, across most of the country. With that, let's take a look at the weather around the world. Well, those are the stories we have for you at this hour. For more of the latest, don't forget to check out our website, arirang.com/news. Do enjoy the rest of the weekend. Goodbye.